So she's his. Reminds me of the lady in the Laura Bow #2.
Oh, the blonde.
Yeah. There's always like
her name.
one of those, right? Always kind of one of those kind of women. So, I mean, Gold Digger comes to mind quite often.
Gold Diggers, 1933.
All right, Mr. Respa. He doesn't ask about telegraph. You're too curious. So, Crimson Diamond is a typing game, but you can do a G for like get, and then an item, or the S. I don't know if it's going to know smell.
It does.
But okay, so if you do S, anything that's got, and if it had cigar, then it should know to do smell cigar.
If there's a hotkey.
So it's verb, item, to give yourself time. It's EEW. See, my field kit. So when we were out, you're rushing it, but when we were out, when we were on the train coming in, our field kit was stolen. And our luggage. So we've been wearing the same dirty clothes now for 2 days at least.
And we don't have a field kit, so
we don't have clean underpants. And
there's not a Walmart anywhere near. You're out in the boondocks.
We're 2 hours from any, or maybe more from. So this is back in the
1914.
1914. So 1914. So it's buggy and it's slow. You can imagine you don't have 70 miles an hour rushing through the roads in the woods.
Meaning she's on a buggy or it's like an REO.
Speedwagon,
REO, some form of REO vehicle, so it was slow. So an early automobile.
So that's probably why it took 2 hours to get through the woods. But the bridge
She didn't mean the game was buggy. There's actually no bugs.
No bugs. I'm just saying there was a carriage house and the REO wagon is there, but it's not working. And there's also the butler. Jack.
He's like the hired hand.
He's the hired hand. He's the cook. But he has some kind of weird thing going on with Margot, who is the main character. I mean, the guy.
Makes you wonder what's going on, and it's not. It doesn't. Not probably what you think.
It seems kind of hinky, but I don't.
I was saying it was yoga, but
I don't know that it was. She might not be wanting to kill this guy, but I'm thinking maybe his name's Nathan is his friend, right?
Yeah, Nathan is.
And the guy who is the owner of the lodge, what's his name?
Evan Richards.
Evan Richards. So we were doing samples because we're a mineralogist, and this is our first big assignment. And we don't have a kit, so we were going to borrow this guy's, but we couldn't. And when we came back, the kit was gone.
Yeah, and so it's questionable what happened. So I asked him, "Where's your kit?" He doesn't seem to know. There definitely can be theories about why it disappeared. Make up your own.
He's supposed to be Canadian.
No. From Antwerp, Belgium.
Belgium. He's supposed to be Belgish. Belgish, is that a word? Belgian. But
like a waffle.
Right, like a Belgian waffle. He's supposed to be a Belgian, but he has a lot of German books that have not been opened in his room, which leads you to believe. But then Canadian Kitty pointed out that they do speak a lot of German in Belgium.
Somebody did. Or was it even Summer B? Somebody. Somebody did mention that German can be spoken in Belgium.
Right.
From what I remember, I was thinking it was, if I'm remembering correctly, there was like a big divide between those who speak, I think it was French and Dutch, with a minority of German. But there are things. So, like when I was playing the demo a number of times, and I thought that was very curious. And then at the beginning of chapter 2, we go get the telegraphs, and then Jack asks, like, hey, does anybody know somebody named Carl? And you ask this guy about Carl,
he says no, right? He doesn't know.
Yes.
Oh.
Do you know anybody by that name? I do not.
Okay, so what was it? Yes, he knew someone? Or if you called him Carl?
Yeah. Carl.
Stand up. Oh, in order to get his attention. Okay. So another thing about the house, the lodge, is that it used to be used to have a lot of people visiting, but now it's kind of more like a countrified place. And the guy who owns it, Evan Richards, doesn't want anybody in it except his friend Nathan. And there's a picture of an absinthe on the wall. So that's indicative of the time. But also, there may or may not be music. It just depends on the scene. So there is also no voice acting. We're not criticizing. We're just saying there's no voice acting. So we are the readers and the voice actors.
Because this is like the game came out in 1989. There was pretty much no voice acting because things were on floppy disks. There were a couple of games and it wasn't like Sierra or LucasArts, that they did have like this automated, very robotic sounding voices done. Mm-hmm. But everybody just sounded like a robot. It was like pretty much all the same voice. So impressive that it was being done at all.
Right.
But generally you didn't hear it much. Like I had the game Chessmaster 2100 as a kid, and there were a couple of times, like, it's like if you got an important piece or check or something, it would actually say a piece like, you got me. And that was so cool. Yeah. In the late 80s or something like that, to hear your computer be able to do that. And that was a Tandy 1000. So that would have had 3 voice. And so that was, more impressive than a lot of the types of audio out there. The Commodore 64, I think, could do maybe up to 4 different sounds or something. Mm-hmm. Oh, is it still light out?
You can definitely... Nothing seems to go... Can open the door and go outside, yeah?
Yeah. And there are some areas, like the inside, it's a little quieter. There isn't quite as much sounds and stuff like that. But, look, car. It's an REO touring car. Okay.
Gotcha.
That's what that is.
But there, if you do something, I've heard that the car is also... something's broke on the car. That's what I think Jack was saying.
Yeah, I think he said, I think there's like a light is out. Fix car. Inspect car. Examine car. Examine hay. Get hay. Hay is for horses. That's good enough for me. Hey! There's some tweeting and stuff like that.
So if we can only find, we picked up some really good samples of what we're looking for in our samples, is we're looking for whether the presence of diamonds is here. Because if there's diamonds here, the Royal Canadian Museum wants some. We've already done this where we whistle and she runs off thinking it's a duck. And I don't know if it's in our inventory still or not. Okay, and the birds are making tweeting sounds. We can hear it.
Mother.
Right, and she really seems to care more about the birds, at least. So it would be hard to think that she's the one doing any kind of shenanigans. Oh, the nuts. The nuts are important because the owner of the lodge, Evan Richards, is deathly allergic to nuts. And so I've always suspected, and I could be wrong, that sometimes somebody's going to feed him a nut. But the Jordan almonds is what, and his sister, who really doesn't like him, doesn't get along very well, brings them knowing that he does, and most of the rest of the house knows not to have nuts, nothing, no Snickers bars or nothing like that. Not that that would be around there in the. And we've already got our sample. We chipped it from there. So
I think right now we're
just trying to figure out
time,
what's the trigger that's going to set the next scene in motion.
Yeah, and I love for chapter 2 the kind of the well thought out adventure aspects of things and the puzzles of, okay, your field kit is missing, so you have to improvise, so you have to go find some tools, then you have to go get a couple of samples, and kind of like you're doing this, and you're learning something along the way as well.
Which is kind of common for these type of adventure games, that you're either going to have a working field kit or you're going to have to go get things to make your own field kit.
And there's definitely some other aspects to things later in the game that have some other kind of neat things that are like this, being able to kind of the mystery and investigative aspects to things, but it feels a little more like you're participating in it versus in the Colonel's Bequest. That game you can kind of go through and really not be aware of what's going on. And pretty much get to the end and I can imagine if somebody actually got through and like, well, that was kind of unsettling, but
what is your major malfunction, numbnut?
But then it does get to the point of, it does show you like, oh, this is how well you did in figuring things out. And that might give you the hint, and then gives you all the clues of things, of people who got in altercations, somebody who had a secret, finding hidden objects, and so that gives you an idea if you missed out on some things.
And some more traditional type of adventure games, like especially when it comes to the mystery, like using the glass so you can listen in on other people. Laura Bow had the secret cabinets that you could get inside and spy on the people in the room and hear their conversations as well. This one, you use your glass up against I think they introduced that in Laura Boat too.
Correct. That was number 2
at the museum.
I mean, there was still some where you see her. It's the way they draw it. See, her going like this. And kind of just listening behind people when they're talking or something.
If you do that and they catch you, then they call you out and say, well, I'd love to talk to you, Mr. Smith, but Snoopy Sniffer here behind me is listening in. I think we've got an eavesdropper,
I mean, some of that's just how it is, but then you do use the old glass against the door trick.
Okay, so this is the western section of the forest. A dirt path turns west and east. You think if you walk north into the woods, you might find your way back to the lodge. South leads to the boathouse. So we're off and running now on to the finishing up of chapter 2.
Yeah, I think this one's getting close.
Chad has beaten this game. He's also tested it. He did the Mac port on it with the demo and with the regular game. And so he has beaten it. But he said that there are things he's still finding out.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. It's definitely has a good depth to it.
I'm just trying to figure out, why is the apple basket so much bigger than the trunks of the trees? Is it just
big? It's a bushel.
That's a bushel. And you can't really do anything. You can't pick any of this stuff. You can't, at least not yet. If it's needed, it'll let us do it. That axe there, you can't wield. She pulls a lot of femininity, and yet she wants to be more independent.
She's not violent. Versus Graham, they try to say, oh, you're not violent, but then he'll go push a witch in a fire, or you can use the dagger and do.
Well, I'm thinking if her life depends upon it, she will be pushing somebody into the fire. But can you open up that garden shack?
I just closed it.
Oh, no. Okay, so you closed the door on it. We've been in there because we got something.
Yeah. So we found the empty box of flypaper.
Right. The flypaper, for some reason, is empty box.
Trowel.
Jack said It should be full.
Yeah, the trowel and a length of rope.
And I'm really not sure. The only thing I could think about flypaper, and unfortunately it's kind of gross, but use it for fingerprints. And to, like on a piece of tape, you grab a fingerprint.
We got tape.
Got the tape, so why would we need the flypaper? Well, anyway, we looked on the shelf. We read all these things, right?
Problem. Let me see.
The shelf says garden-related.
Watering can. Okay.
And sometimes the words are like, I have to look them up to see what it means, or I can't say it. It's just a different kind of grammar than I'm used to, is all. It's not a criticism, for sure. This game is wonderful. And you could sit. And I wondered if you had the Steam version, if you sat down, if there's an achievement for sitting down in every room.
That would be a great one. There is... Oh.
Okay, now it's dinner time. So Jack has prepared a delicious dinner of salted pork and buttered parsnips. Margot has not come down for dinner, and Evan says she's not feeling well. Maybe she too is allergic to nuts. I don't know. Outstanding, fantastic detective work, Nancy. You're a natural.
That's actually how close we were to the end.
Yeah. If we had
it really was just go to the dinner. So.
Yep.
And then I just explored a little more just for the fun of it. So now we did get through about 2 chapters there. So
now we're moving on to dinner time. So Albert, I hear your field kit has gone missing. Too bad. Maybe he took it and thought that would send that guy packing, but the train is at the bridge is to the train is out because we suspect Kimmy blew it up.
There's Nessa. Yeah, it is kind of curious because Kimmy was drawing a picture of a bridge.
Mm-hmm. But what did she get the materials to blow up the bridge? And if that's not going to get revealed, then that's just one of those accepted as part of the game.
Part of the mystery. You start unraveling what's going on, sort of like what's going on with each of these people. And I think you get a lot of that from the Lorabo games as well, in trying to figure out what's up with each of these people, what are their secrets. Definitely in the second game, there's a lot more of trying to figure out all these other aspects to things. Mm-hmm. So
Albert narrows his eyes. Mr. Richards, you must realize, and this is, I suspect, a German accent, actually, that you must realize this is merely a delay and nothing more.
There's Nessa looking wonderful as normal.
She doesn't seem like she's even eating. See, I don't know about that. There's a war on, and Canada might have bigger fish to fry soon enough.
It's 1914, World War I.
That's what I said.
The
I
Great War
mentioned
is starting up.
Yeah, that it's the war, World War I. So all the intrigue of World War I is going on. I've got a feeling, all this, I hate that song, all this could get forgotten about. I'm sorry if you is it Black Eyed Peas? But I don't care. Well, I won't have my possessions stolen. Surely the Lodge has a way to secure some valuables.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
And don't call me Shirley, all right? Yeah, sure. There are 2 trunks in the upstairs closet. Jack's got keys. I've only got the key for the blue trunk. You can lock up your stuff in there. That'll have to do, and if something goes missing, there will be no mistaking who's to blame. And what about the automobile? Oh, I've got it. I've got it. Yes, I do.
Dong. Dong.
Dong, Grandpa
is talking to you.
Where
is my automobile?
lake.
Big lake.
Scuzzbag.
I had to have that little bit where grandma gets raw on that one. Has it been fixed yet? Jack and I have looked at the automobile, and I don't have the part with me. Why would he? Would he be carting around parks for the car? But I will bring it the next time I visit.
Nathan has mentioned that he got Evan's old automobile because he was fixing it so often. And so he got one, and so if anything, he was just the privilege to have an automobile at all. And so he was fixing things so often, so.
There's so many questions I have about Nathan, because the cost of an automobile at the time, and he's living on the reservation, and I don't know if he's well-to-do. Maybe he's the chief. Maybe.
I think he just lives there or something like that.
So there's a question there.
But if they got it for free, because they were just maintaining it, as long as they can, this or nothing,
right?
It's still a privilege to have one. Especially you consider how early it is. Especially in the early era of automobiles, you imagine with any new technology that it took a while before it started becoming more commonplace.
True.
There's probably that kind of weird era between people still using horses or walking through towns versus early automobiles.
Yeah.
And so I would imagine still in the 1920s and the 30s, you still get this mix of things. Probably by the 1940s, I'm going to guess horses were pretty much gone in most places.
Well, I think if it was remote, it would just be interesting because it would be, especially just before the 20s, the rip-roaring 20s, not everybody had the Rolls-Royce and the Bentleys and all that stuff. It just wasn't, it wasn't done.
Whenever the Model Ts or Model As, or some of those Fords.
Do you know that way back when, though, you could order it out, like you could order a house out of the Sears catalog, you could order the car as well. I suppose that'll have to do. I don't care one way or another. Maybe you can swim back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kind of makes you wonder, so Evan heard that the kit has gone missing. Well, okay, where did he hear it? Did he hear it from Albert, Jack? Did he maybe actually get up and make it disappear magically? Or then there's theory, did Albert take care of his kit? Because notice, he goes off because he left it by the boulder.
Right.
And then when he went back to go do more work or whatever, then he comes back to the lodge and he says it's gone.
We saw the kit, though, and we walked away, and it was still there.
Yeah, Jack even mentioned, hey, there's bears out there. It might have wandered off.
Do you think a bear would go and grab a kit versus a human walking around in the woods?
But I think that'll be kept as a mystery. Did Albert dispose of his kit? Was it Evan maybe did something with it?
Geez, why didn't he just give the girl the kit then if he's going to get rid of the kit? Everyone seems to be eager to escape the dinner table. It's probably a very uncomfortable dinner table.
And so that at least gives you kind of a hint about that there's the blue trunk that we've seen in the upstairs closet or storage room, and Jack had the keys for that. So,
phew, these dinners are pretty tense. All right, you follow Jack into the kitchen and help him with the dishes. Now this has become a thing, right? Gee, thanks, miss.
He has a very egg-shaped head.
He does. I was thinking he looks kind of like Picard.
Jean-Luc Picard?
Jean-Luc Picard. Oh, can you do me another favor? Take this bowl of broth to Margot. She's still not feeling well.
Maybe we weren't quite at the end of chapter 2, but...
She's in her boudoir, and she says being surrounded by beautiful things makes her feel better. And, of course, Margot is French, so sure thing, Jack.
French-Canadian. I think she says she's from, Montreal or something.
The game is auto-save, but this guy has money. This guy has a home. This guy has the conveniences that a street girl might not have the opportunity to have in 1915. So,
1914.
1914. Okay. And I imagine you can't ask about, like, sex or whatever the sound it was we heard. Okay, steam from the broth fogs up your loop. You can examine it.
Okay, that's clever. What if you do this? Ah, yes.
Yep. See, the cliff sample is coarse grained, leading you to conclude it is intrusive igneous rock. Diamonds, right, that was the point she was making. Diamonds is intrusive igneous rock, meaning they formed below the Earth's surface where they had time to form into larger crystals. It is possible that this area could be geologically suitable for diamonds, and I think it's Nathan. Or will be Nathan, and the reason why I think so is because he wants the land, and boy, diamonds would help him out a lot.
Or maybe he doesn't want things like that, because keep in mind, like, this was their land until the garnets were discovered, and then the government came in, bought up the land in trade of financial and fishing rights and fishing and hunting rights, but they says a lot of that was not honored.
Right, and they also got it for pretty cheap, according to, so probably baubles and jewelry. I hear voices next door, right? It's a myth that cormorants hunt fish that are prized by fishermen. So there's Nathan again. Unfortunately, the birds have been subject to many attempted exterminations. The colony suffered when Crimson was a garnet mining town, but it's recovered since. The nesting colony on the cliffs to the southwest of the lodge is the only intact examples for many kilometers. I'm so relieved to hear that the colony survived. Nature is so resilient. That was Kimmy's. It is to a point. But should the government return and claim this land for its so-called precious stones, the entire nesting colony will be at risk. This cannot be allowed to happen.
See, he does not want precious stones to be found because he doesn't want the government getting back here and...
Oh dear. Nathan and Kimmy continue to chat about cormorants and other birds, and you find yourself starting to nod off, standing and listening at the doorway. Also, he has children and he has a wife. So why is he always there every dinner? Flocks of cormorants in these parts, right? He talked to us already once. Ask about Will. Who's Will? I shouldn't tell you this, but Pa never held a will, never bothered, but I sure do. But I do, and if she ever tries anything, she's in for a shock.
Watch this.
We suspect that she gave it all to Margot, or that he's given it all to Margot. No, he said about giving it to Nathan. Are you cold or something, girl? Oh, not at all. I was just checking for a crack in behind the tapestry. So come out from out behind there. You're giving me the creeps. Sorry. I also noticed, is the fireplace lit now? It's nighttime.
No. Light, fire.
You ready to feel warm and cozy after hanging around that tapestry? She don't want to go outside, and because it's getting nighttime. And I was wondering at the point where if the broth is supposed to be hot, why we would be wandering around. There's no microwaves. There's a kettle reheated in the pan on the stove. That's what you have to do. So you saw quickly I was able to cook bacon within 10 minutes. I had the bacon cooked today in the air fryer. It wasn't so bad. Your shoes aren't muddy and therefore don't require washing.
Wash rocks.
You can't do that. Unfortunately, they won't let you use it for practical application.
Wash bowl. Wash broth. Empty broth into tub.
You want to just give that to her, right? You want her to like you so she'll talk to you. Okay, it's the room down here somewhere. There's the blue trunk, but you don't have the key. It's still locked, right? It has a large crack in one of the corners.
I think that's just description, but...
Okay, that's Nessa. I don't know what those are, and I'm not interested. My ruby brooch costs a lot of money. The ruby is quite large, and it's in that jewelry box, we think. Playing detective, are you? Well, I won't be playing along. I'm sure when this is useful information, it's always a good idea to be observant. Thank you, Icebot, taking care of our little schemer scammer. You don't hear any voices behind Albert's bedroom door, even with the aid of the drinking glass. Though you can barely discern some quiet noises, it's as if someone is shuffling papers at the desk. He'll tell you to go piss off and leave him alone. Yeah. That's the room of the two guys. One's Jack's and the other one is the lawyer, right?
Yeah.
I'm not here to tell you much. I'm here to do your job. And also, he's British. So why would I? I'm not sure. Ask about England. You can't use England. Back in England, they are. And that's definitely one thing Canada has going
Well, it
for
sounds
it.
like his others might be. But I think it brings up an interesting...
I'm pretty sure he's English. If I remember, even in the dialogue that Nessa talks about him being from England. So, is she here? Is this her room? I thought her room was more. Okay, yeah, there we go. She's laying down on a Chase lounge. Look, Margot. Margot is reclining on a plush Chase lounge. Are you feeling okay, Margot? Today my body aches a bit, and I've been feeling a bit under the weather recently. I will probably feel better tomorrow. Ask about family. Life was hard growing up. We're not so close. Ask about Montreal. Born and raised, you simply must see it for yourself. Ask about men. I prefer not to talk about my past, mademoiselle.
Okay, interesting.
So she just thinks she's so much better because she's hooked up with this guy. He may appear gruff, but he is so sweet and gentle-hearted. Ask about Jack. Diamonds are the finest of jewels fit for royalty. Nessa sometimes likes to brag about her fine jewelry. I couldn't be less interested. What a shallow woman. Ah, the Silversteins. Yes, Evan treasures them. They've been with his family for many years. They're locked away in the curio cabinet that is in your bedroom. But I worry. Nessa wants to take those heirlooms away, and that cannot happen. They're the only things worth money, right? Give broth to Margot. Margot, Jack made you some broth for you. Oh, he is so wonderful. Please set it down on the table. Oh, you do it automatically. Very nice. Okay, something has been added to your notebook. Jacques is a good man. He works so hard every day, but there's so much to do. Evan ought to hire another man to help Jack, but there's no money for that. They have no money.
Or maybe there's just not enough. I mean, they're not open, but, you know.
Is she pregnant?
Pertinent.
I don't know. I mean, ooh, it sounds like someone is a-coming.
Whoa!
Someone's a-coming.
Now, this is interesting. First time I played through it, there's different ways of hearing things, and we've seen different other aspects. Like in Chapter 1, when you're trying to listen to Evan and Nathan talking in the study, there's two different ways you can do that. You can either listen at the door or hide behind the tapestry. This is kind of another one that you can hide behind the screen, or if you leave the room, you can hear.
You are about to move from behind the screen when you hear footsteps in the master bedroom. Nessa. I had a feeling it was Nessa. Nessa, what do you want? Jack asked me to bring this water up to you. Is it poisoned? She doesn't like her, and I thought we could have a little chat besides. I knew there was a catch. I know how hard it is for us women to make it in the world.
Yeah, you married some rich guy and died mysteriously at a young age.
The family was well-to-do too. She would have probably gotten no dowry from it. Is that so? Indeed, especially for women who have lived particularly roughly, such as yourself. What do you mean?
Spoiler, Nessa's only 30 years old.
No way.
I'm joking. Yeah, I mean, you look at
Okay.
Evan. You look at Evan, and
He
he's
looks
gray-haired, and he's the younger brother of Nessa.
And Evan never married, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, he's...
I have a very good memory for faces, and there's no mistaking one as pretty as yours. Did he have that bad business up in Skagway? The Mounties never caught you, though they did try. There were wanted posters pasted up as far south as Niagara Falls. Break it off with Evan and leave Crimson, and maybe I won't tell. Ha! The things I have seen, the things I have done, you don't frighten me, you old hag. You will get nothing. Do you hear me? I will make sure of that. Evan must. Skagway was lawless because people looked the other way, but up here, there is no one to see what could happen. Watch out. Oh, she spilled the broth. Nessa puts the drinking glass and picture down on the side table and deliberately knocking over the bowl of broth. Nessa then buffs the drinking glass clean with a white handkerchief. I figured as much, you silly little gold digger. You watch out. The game is auto-saved. So we already suspected that Margot is involved in Skagway. NWMP is Northwest Police Mounted Police is looking for her. Nessa is trying to blackmail Margot with this information. So now we need to pick up and give the bowl to Jack. Oh, how terrible. I'm sorry. I'm going to get your bowl for you. The bowl of broth is spilled. Thankfully, it hasn't dripped on the carpet. Ask about broth. Clumsy me. I've accidentally knocked it over.
No.
But do not worry. I would prefer this refreshing water. Spill water. It doesn't work. Take water. Mademoiselle, please leave that where it is. I'm not feeling well, and I'd like to have some water nearby. I wouldn't drink anything Nessa gives me.
Yeah.
There are laws in these parts, but they do not visit Crimson too much. Ranger Daniel is a decent man. Sometimes he visits us to see if we are well. Visits me or visit us?
Yes,
Ask about Scandal or Skagway. Margot narrows her eyes and hesitates before she speaks. I may not have been entirely honest about Skagway in the past.
Skagway is a town that was another like mining town near Juneau, Alaska. I had never heard of it, so I had to go look it up. And yeah, there's a lot of kind of a similar type history that it was a boom to bust town.
So it was a typical mining town where like women would have been more like ladies of the evening, and
that's what it's
stuff.
Implying, but
Yeah.
it's saying something very kind of lawlessness, type of thing.
Kind of like
especially as it's
Dodge
growing
City.
up. Yeah, I mean, it's old. You think about kind of the old West or whatever, and especially you have this new town just showing up, especially for those like the Yukon gold and stuff. So it was also used kind of as a gateway to get to the Yukon. So it's still at that point, it was part of the United States, but it's like that small little strip of Alaska that kind of goes down the coast a bit, so people would kind of enter there to go up to the Yukon, or in addition to any other mining that might happen there. I mean,
Makes
if you think about
sense.
the game Gold Rush, that you get to think of Sutter's Fort or something as kind of the area you're supposed to you start at.
So that makes sense, but this is a dangerous place. Take my word for it. I will not speak more on it.
Ask about that lovely person named Nessa.
She needs to leave. She is not welcome here. You clean up the spill with what? And decide to take the empty bowl back downstairs for Jack to wash. With your skirt?
Maybe.
Merci beaucoup, mademoiselle. You are so helpful. I don't have much of an appetite right now anyway. No, because Nessa knows her secret. This water is enough for me. So I'm guessing prostitution was illegal in Canada at the time?
No, well, Skagway is part of Alaska.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I think that the point being that it was a lawless town, or it did not have much from things I read up about it, because after playing it, I was reading about it and some of the history. And of course, you got those who have the power, the money, the influence, and any form of judicial system could be easily in the pocket of the rich and stuff like that.
And that
somebody
makes sense.
owns a gambling saloons or whatever.
But she must have done something bad to make the police look for her.
That's what's
Like crime, ask about crime, she doesn't want to talk about it anymore, but
so.
Ask about Skagway. Isn't that the gold rush town up north? Foolish and desperate dreamers try to strike it rich on a fluke. Can you find Nessa again and ask about Skagway? Skagway is a seedy little town in Alaska, full of criminals and hustlers. After the gold rush ended, it was mostly deserted. Good riddance. Although all those undesirables must have ended up somewhere. Some even ended up at Crimson Lodge, an unsavory creature of ill repute. Nice girls like you should stay away from her. How do you know I'm not a naughty girl? Why do you say that? I prefer not to say. It's not a subject for polite conversation. Ask about stick up your bum. You can't use you can use bum. You can use stick. You can put it together and say stick bum. But you cannot ask about your. Close wardrobe. Does it make you feel better to close your wardrobe? Close the doors. Right, we were snooping in there. Medicine Hat!
Hey.
Our traveler. Clothes, cabinets.
Good to see you. We missed you last week.
Welcome back from your vacation, Mr. Medicine Hat.
Are there pictures on Discord?
I have a few. one that makes me want to go there. It's like, don't give my wife any ideas here.
Well, I wouldn't say no to that, but still, it's for me. I'm more of a. Actually, there's a cool observatory that they have there.
Yeah, that would be neat.
They can get snow up there too.
Okay, so here's some more. I haven't seen these yet. Ah, so beautiful. So surreal. The sea turtles.
Very blue.
Really, like aquamarine. That's one thing that, from the picture from the plane. I'm not going to read it out loud, but we'll read it right now. Let's see. This is the other pictures he sent. This is where they stayed.
Oh, wow.
They had a nice pool. Did you get to use the pool much?
Nice.
It's lovely. Just beautiful tropical flowers and loveliness. So jelly. That I wanted to learn about. Those are Neen. I'm not sure if I'm saying them right.
This is a game about birds, too.
Mauna Kea
Yes.
Observatory. Didn't do that, but would have been fun.
I love astronomy, so that's the type of thing I would probably enjoy being able to go to if it's something.
Which island is that one on?
I think it's the Big Island, but I could be wrong.
Okay, we stayed on the... There we go.
Yeah, stayed on the big... Okay, yeah.
So they're not as big as like Canadian geese by any means. They're more seagull type.
Okay, let's examine this bowl. There's oily residue in the inside the bowl. It needs to be washed. Should take this back. Washed bowl.
How neat! And how long were you there? How long were you on the trip? I'm assuming you went with your family and stuff like that. Hopefully the weather was nice for you the whole time. They certainly have a higher percentage of having nicer weather than some other destinations. Except my friend with her first got married. And they got married in December, so they went on a honeymoon, and it was during hurricane season there. So it rained the whole weekend, the whole week they were there.
Oh, that's what.
Well, and they pretty much had to stay inside.
Yeah, fortunately, that doesn't get too many hurricanes. It's kind of interesting. It's out in the ocean, but just where it is just doesn't seem to get hit nearly as much. So when it actually gets one, it makes things more interesting. Did use the pool once, could have been more. The water was actually quite warm and comfortable. Tried swimming in the ocean a few times. The first time was the best.
Nice.
We've swam in
the Gulf.
I'm trying to think. There might have been the Atlantic.
Atlantic. I've been on that side. I went to South.
I just remember like it's salty.
I went to Myrtle Beach, so I actually got to experience the actual Atlantic, and there definitely is a difference in the color of the Atlantic versus the Gulf. The Gulf is more green. I attribute that to more algae. And then
Gold Rush. Yeah, see, talk about Skagway and the Klondike Gold Rush.
Gosh, my pa would talk, but he wished he picked the gold instead of the garnet sometimes. We were there a week, flew down last Saturday. Weather was great, though I've never really gotten used to humidity. Even at night, it doesn't cool off a lot. You could sleep outside all night and be comfortable. But they do have humidity, so do they have mosquitoes and bugs and the nighttime bugs? Guess my life would have been real different if you had gone further north. Then again, Crimson never got as rowdy as Skagway. Har.
Yeah, I remember when we were visiting Florida once, and we had really early morning flight, so we were up at 4 a.m. and it was still humid outside. And,
yep.
Which was different from, like, say, Illinois, where it was like, where it could get humid, but at night it wasn't nearly as bad.
Is that up in Alaska? I'd love to see some Arctic terns.
She loves birds.
She really is all about the birds.
See?
Skagway is a town in Alaska. It was once a booming gold rush town. At its height, Skagway was lawless and full of opportunists, dangerous people, and scam artists. See, that's what I think, that What's-Her-Face is a scam artist. And that we are assuming, I mean, she ticks the role of being a paramour very easy, but they've got to want her for some kind of law, breaking the law type thing. Crimson followed a similar trajectory, boom and bust. I hope history doesn't repeat itself here again.
And so much with mining towns that they grow real quick, and then if the mines dry out, then they just crash.
I think about Butte. Butte had a big mining town boom, and then
I mean it got to a decent size though and stayed. I mean, at least years ago it was like about 33,000 people, give or take, and so it remained a decent size versus so many other boom, mining towns that grow real quick. And from what I read about Skagway, at one point it was one of the largest towns in Alaska, but now it's maybe a couple thousand people at best, maybe even just a couple hundred. So
strangely, I didn't see many bugs. A few butterflies, a few little tiny gnat-like insects, but there's all these I love these little lizards. They have them in Mexico. They're so cool. 3-4 inches long green lizards that love to snack on those, so it keeps the bugs down. It wasn't any issue at all. Yeah, when we were in Mexico, so we would have swam in the Atlantic there. They had lots of like iguanas and
we didn't swim,
things.
But okay.
I did. You were gone. You went on a bike ride. I went swimming.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. So
yeah.
But yeah, I remember when that little bike ride. You could
I just waded in the water a little bit and let the waves take me.
Yeah, you were not feeling great. So
yeah.
Okay, Skagway is a first-class borough in Alaska in the Alaskan Panhandle. As of 2020 census, the population was 1,240, up from 968 in 2010. So
I can't imagine there being it's kind of like one of those more remote places where probably things are shipped in at certain days, or if the weather is bad there, you don't get anything at all. So closed the door. We peeked in there. There was nothing there. I'm just curious why Nathan hangs around the house so much. Because he has a family. All right, give the bowl to Jack.
Actually, I want to read about that again. So if you ask about family, you'll probably hear about both of them. I like how in this, if there's multiple people, it will kind of ask both people, so that's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. I was born immigrated.
Okay. Yep.
So she's Japanese or American.
No, Canadian.
She's Canadian, but heritage is she's got Japanese, and my parents lived in Crimson all their lives before it was even called Crimson. In fact, my father was a patient man. He hoped that one day this land would be returned to us, even if it wasn't in his lifetime. Hint, hint. I must confess, I'm a bit less patient than he was. My mother was a fiery one. I feel myself struggling with both sides of myself now and again.
Okay.
About wife. Crimson was where we disembarked. Luckily, Jack was there picking Mister. Not much more than train and the bridge, at least these days. Crimson was a thriving mining town, but no longer. The garnets in the mine weren't gem quality, only good enough to be ground up for industrial use. When that business went away, so did the settlers. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm married to a wonderful woman named Jenny, and we have 3 children. Sometimes I wonder if I'm losing my Indian status and making living off reservation would be better for my children. Well, obviously, why don't they just move the wife and the kids here? Because that's where he is.
He's not supposed to be off reservation is part of it. That you learn. He's
going and doing it every day. I've seen him more than anyone else every night. You hand the empty bowl back to Jack. What does he do for work? Career? Thanks, miss. I really appreciate the help. Tell you what, I'll brew you a cup of tea and bring it to you in the conservatory. Hey, Nate Man. How's everything going, buddy?
Do the Nate Man.
The Meltastic Duo. Yeah. So you head into the conservatory, and Nathan and Mimi are still talking about birds. You have no idea that anyone could be so keen about his hobby.
Starting a bird cult.
Yeah, she is. Jack brings you a piping hot cup of chamomile tea from the flowers he grew himself.
Neat. See, the growing stuff self-sufficient up here. Has his own little garden and everything.
The combination of the warm tea and the comfy couch and the slightly boring conversation lull you to sleep.
Dun, dun, dun.
Fall asleep.
They're starting up the bird cult. And then the cormorants will take over.
It's more like...
We will be their king and queen.
Is she dribbling and drooling down her mouth? So bird cult, and they're gonna be king and queen, huh?
Yeah.
What does Jenny
spoilers.
think about that? You happily doze on the couch until you are woken by a commotion upstairs.
The birding has begun. The cormorants have busted through the window and are attacking Nessa.
It's called The Birds. It's like an Alfred Hitchcock kind of thing going on here.
Yeah. I think I watched that in high school, and we had to write a paper about it or something. And remember, we had this, I'm trying to think if it was a VHS or a DVD game. I think it might have been DVD. And there was you watch scenes, and then there'd be something like, which finger did she have a ring on, or something like that,
Huh.
You head towards the source of the noise,
and you find yourself in Nessa's bedroom. Somebody stole her jewelry. You rush in the room to find Nessa and Evan standing nearly nose and not, what are we thinking? The Birds was really good.
Cracker neck, Evan. You can do it.
In a heated conversation.
We'll all look the other way. We'll find a nice spot in the woods to bury her.
Oh, dear. Oh, hi, Nancy. Someone stole my ruby brooch. I knew it. I demand you recover my brooch and bring the perpetrator to justice. Probably the lawyer. There are so many suspicious people milling about.
Like you?
You mean besides you? Nathan, for one, it's obvious he's hanging around and just waiting for you to die.
We feel the same about you, Nessa.
So that he can finally get his hands on all of this. And then there's Margot. Enough.
That's right. Pick her up. Throw her out the window.
You could talk about a lot of things,
Kimmy,
but you
call your
can't talk
cormorants.
about my stripper girlfriend. Enough. It's clear that Evan is at his limits. His eyes flash with anger momentarily, but it fades just as quickly. He grimaces, shrugs, and then looks away. I got my hands full as it is.
Why did you bring your stupid jewelry anyway, Margot?
Curio's smashed too, and a bunch of stuff. Ooh, the sterling silver is gone. What? Some of that's mine.
See? What's hers?
Someone's robbing me blind. How dare you? You probably misplaced your brooch. As for the curio,
It's probably you.
I bet you smashed it yourself because I told you I lost the curio key and it was locked up tight. Now, we were assuming the worst, but what if she pretends to hide her brooch and puts it in her luggage, which is locked, and then goes and smashed the curio, making people think
Yeah.
and she wanted the Steins.
Did you see, we walk in our bedroom and we see her in there looking at the...
Yes, I remember that. Mm-hmm. I know you're here to get what you think you're owed anyway you can. So don't expect any of my help. Did you say you can or can't?
Okay.
Sputter.
Yeah.
Why
He's actually not putting up.
Yep. I'm done with this. Keep your voice down, why don't you? Margot's resting. He just kind of reminds me of Jack Clampett. I'm going to go check on her and don't get me involved. I should take a closer look at that jewelry box. Notice the spelling of the word jewelry there, Medicine Hat. And I should also examine the curio cabinet in the room I'm sharing with Kimmy. Oh, I remember reading a mystery novel where fingerprints help solve a crime. Game is autosaved. So we have our loop. Now we're into chapter 3, investigation. So we have given ourselves the role of investigator in this. But I want to take a minute break. And or was that last? No, I'm sorry. The week before that, on Saturday, I finished Lucy Dreaming, and then as of just our group. We greetings from Ireland.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for being here, Deborah.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying hi from Ireland. How's Ireland going on?
Are you chasing the coals?
Is that where they are?
They're I don't know if it's now, but they're going to be visiting Ireland at some point, so they're not going to be streaming in what would be next Saturday or something. So they've been doing traveling. So the Coles, speaking of the Quest for Glory series, they're sort of in semi-retirement. They're still making games, but I think they're just kind of doing it at a little more leisurely pace.
Yeah. So I was saying that I finished Lucy Dreaming, Devar, and maybe they're chasing you guys. So Medicine Hat was in Hawaii and you're in Ireland. What are you doing in Ireland? And how long do you get to be there? And someone broke into my jewelry box and stole my very expensive ruby brooch.
Because coming up to the wildlands of northern Ontario, you need to bring expensive jewelry.
But you did when you were a lady. You traveled with your... I'm surprised she only has like that small luggage, because it seems to me like she would have tried. And she hasn't unpacked. That was the other thing.
Or
we
she's
noted.
keeping it locked, but
No, she hasn't unpacked her bags, and she hasn't put them in the wardrobe because it's empty. We noticed that.
Yeah, versus Albert and his endless supply of
you're on
shirts.
holiday, as they say.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Thank you for visiting us. I mean, granted, it's probably around 7 or 8 o'clock at night there.
Yeah. So have you gone and seen anything interesting? Have you tried some different kind of food? Do you have relatives in the area? And is what you're staying on eating on the economy, visiting, or is it part of an inclusive type of meal deal?
Oh dear.
I always want to know. When we were in Mexico, we were only there for 3 days, which was unfortunate. I would like to have stayed a little longer. But so we really rushed and packed a lot in those 3 days. And even went on you took a bike trip around the island.
No, it was still just in the not complex.
Well,
the resort,
it was a complex.
The resort.
Okay.
So yeah, I was just able to bike around there.
But
we weren't on an island either.
But no, we were part of the mainland. Sorry, I mean
it was on Yucatan Peninsula.
The complex is what I meant.
The resort, yeah.
And the resort, and they offered every kind of thing of you wanted to do. You wanted to play basketball, shuffleball, ride a bike, play in the ocean, swim out, take a shower outside in your shower, your little shower thing, and see the night sky and stuff. So you're currently in Wifey's great grandma's hometown. How cool is that?
Nice.
And so you're meeting a lot and seeing a lot of family, and done a lot of touristing, taken a lot of fun pictures, and we planned everything ourselves. How
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. I have Roberta Williams' book, was it Farewell to Tara? It's in one of my various stacks of books of more books I need to try to read through. I've read a little bit of it. I have lots of towers and books and things. But, you know, of course, that was Devore. Have you completed this game? But, I mean, there's definitely... the one thing that's kind of neat about this game is it sort of educates you about kind of the history of Canada and where people have emigrated from and stuff like that. So you have Kimmy, whose parents or grandparents came from like Japan in the like 1870s. Nancy, I think she has like some Irish heritage. And there's a little later nod about things there that Nessa, she was actually born, I guess, in England. And so there was something there. Yeah, I haven't seen family per se.
Oh, they were too removed to know anyone. Okay, so you just kind of are just exploring their hometown then and learning about what their culture would have been like and stuff, which is great.
We'll give them that. So.
Okay, all right. So now we're going to look at the jewelry box. Do you think Evan could have taken your brooch? I'm sure he wants it to give to Margot. But Evan is a slothful coward. More likely he got his friend Nathan to do it. Besides, he spends more of his time in our father's study pretending to be busy.
Probably just twirling around in the chair until he gets dizzy and barfs.
Secretly eating nuts so he becomes like immune to them.
Yeah. Well, that's what you do. You just build up your tolerance. It's kind of like in The Princess Bride, where the main guy, you know, he had developed immunity to the, was it iocane or something, the poison. Mm-hmm. So.
Wasn't it Sherlock Holmes who did that with, like...
Evan could have had Jack steal my brooch.
What was it that he was affected by? Morphine, probably. You know.
How dare you? Not at all.
Okay, so you walked outside, dumped the powder, and then put the soot in there?
No, you just put it, like, look compact.
Could you have done that before you...
Filled the empty powder
No,
compact
before
with some soot.
the dinner.
It was empty. So, yeah, you could have done that in chapter 1. Who could have done this? Get print.
It has to be
Fingerprint with tape.
brush it. Do you have a brush?
Brush. Powder on box.
Aha, the soot reveals a fingerprint on the side of the jewelry box.
There we go.
Careless person.
Well done. Okay. Get fingerprint with
Not
tape.
to mention it was like oily. You tear off a piece of tape and press it onto the powdered fingerprint. You carefully mark the back of the fingerprint as evidence taken from Nessa's jewelry box. So how do you propose to get fingerprints to compare? Congratulations, you have obtained a fingerprint type. Compare fingerprints to check which fingerprints you have yet to obtain. That's all of them, right?
Yeah. So this is kind of the main goal of this chapter is to get the fingerprints. And so this, I think this is a really kind of neat and clever way of doing things. And a lot of the puzzles in this game make a lot of sense and integrate well with it rather than, there was especially on a couple of Facebook groups, there was this little gag video showing like, point and click videos, and showing this woman's like, for the last ingredient for the potion, I need some salt. And she's in the kitchen, she's looking in the cupboards. I have found some salt, but she can't reach it. It's like, okay, use the ladder. I don't think I need that. What? It's a ladder. Just go. I don't see what I need to use it. Just use the ladder. I don't understand. It's like, okay, great. Can I take the ball and knock down the salt? Okay, let's see if I can combine inventory items. It's going back and forth. She's getting irritated by the moon logic of it all. And eventually it was using tape to use some sticks, tape them together to make a ladder to be able to climb up there. He's
you couldn't use the real ladder that was in the room? Godly. That's making it difficult just so you have to,
This is the master bedroom. Mr. Richards shares it with Margot. You feel a little weird about invading their private space. There is a wardrobe and nightstand to the left and right of the bed. Margot's look, Margot.
Margot's laying in the bed resting.
Talk to Margot.
Margot's resting right now. Can you go back to where she was drinking water and see if her glass was there?
Yeah. Examine glass.
Margot was drinking from this glass. There's still a bit of water in it.
You can see a
Faint oily mark of Margot's glass.
powder glass.
Aha! Powdering glass. Margot's drinking glass reveals the fingerprint, but that could be Jack's because Jack brought it up.
No. Nessa wiped it off when she brought it up.
Oh, I didn't realize she wiped it off. Okay, get fingerprint with tape. You tear off the piece of taping and press it onto the powdered fingerprint. So here we can go compare fingerprints.
Yeah. So this is cool. Like in the Colonel's Bequest, I'll close there.
The rest are yours.
Thank you. So in the Colonel's Bequest, you can like get a couple of fingerprints or see them. I don't ever recall doing anything with them though.
There was something else that you had to do with like the little red glass, like where you're. But yeah. Nessa, can I take your fingerprint? It might help me solve who burgled your jewelry box. I read in a book that fingerprint patterns are unique to individuals, so I just need to apply some soot. Oh, fine. Do what you need. I'll do anything to find the culprit.
Fine.
So if you carefully brush some soot onto Nessa's finger and then press a square of adhesive plaster on top. Where'd you get the adhesive plaster?
The tape? Which was found in the nightstand of Margot's nightstand.
Got it. Nessa makes a face while you do this, but says nothing.
Tape Nessa's mouth shut.
So you've obtained a lovely, clear impression of Nessa's fingerprint.
Tape Nessa's mouth.
Sorry, you really can't do that.
Oh, dear.
Oh, the curio cabinet.
Yeah, when I first saw those steins in the demo, and I was kind of wanting to like try to open it, and I figure like at some point you'd have to try to find some way to open it, or maybe pick the lock.
Or smash the glass.
Yeah.
Your eyes are immediately drawn to the smashed glass in front of the curio cabinet. Jagged shards litter the rug. So you got to be careful where you step to, because you don't want to step in the glass.
The glass.
That doesn't look very appetizing. Oh, the silver steins are missing. Go figure that one. In front of the curio, bordered by the jagged teeth of broken glass. Eek, someone has broken the glass to gain access to the curio contents. I wonder who could have done such as. I wouldn't put it past Nessa, because, if when she wants something, she's going to go in there and bust the glass. The glass is jagged and sharp.
Yeah.
So,
just admiring this, it's like the EGA palette and how you emulate glass, and I think it works pretty well. You got kind of the different shades of cyan offset by a little bit of white and stuff like that. So.
I wonder if the perpetrator left any marks behind. If there are any, I'll need something to help me see them. Do you have like a magnifying lens? Oh, okay.
We just
so
did
you have your loop,
yeah.
right?
So powder cabinet
all over. Aha! Powdering the cabinet, the surface of the curio cabinet reveals a fingerprint. Now, let's talk about this for a second. It could have been Kimmy who touched, this is in our room, right? It could have been Kimmy who touched it. It could have, and why wouldn't she, right? It could have been Evan, who's making sure everything's okay, pretends he doesn't have the key. Jack could have been washing it. Could have been Nessa was over there examining it. But why would you touch your fingerprint to glass you're going to shatter? Hey, AC White Raven.
Hey.
Boop, boop. I think possibly the hand is not working as possible.
No, I think we briefly heard something. Boop.
Well, you can hear it, but you're not seeing it. So she's Just needs to get turned on, I think. You want to turn her on, AC White Raven? Turn her physically on? I mean, that doesn't, nothing I can say works well. Nothing.
Do you think Albert could have taken your brooch? Albert, he's a cultured fellow of means. He would never stoop so low. Ask about Corvus. Think Corvus could have taken your brooch? Don't be absurd, you silly girl.
I've only been in here 5 seconds. Is that all it takes? If he takes a minute for me to get to what the OBS is underneath, I'll get it turned on.
This is a large den of undesirables. Yeah, you're lovely too.
I have my own suspicions about that. I think he broke the glass. But how are you going to get...
Do? Indeed, I think Nathan conspired with Evan to hide the curio valuable silver steins. Evan is aware that Nessa has designs on those items as they are hers by right. Lovely. Such a lovely toady.
Is that so?
Clearly, and it's clear to me that he intends to keep them from her until she and I have gone back to the city. But it's a family affair, none of my business.
So AC finally got a PC.
Cool.
It's taken him, it's quite a few years, but he finally has got a PC that is new and works. What do you think you're doing? Stop snooping around all my things. You need him to be gone. You're going to have to do that during the day. He's touching the blotter.
Yeah. Right.
The writing desk holds a blotter, a lamp, and a couple of pencils. So he's touching the blotter and the lamp. So there's things he's touching. I'm still quite busy, miss. And why would he have gloves on to deal with those things unless it's wintertime or cold? Waste basket. The basket is full of ink splattered paper, most likely a result of Corvus's leaky pen. I know, I've only been here 5 seconds, so stop touching it.
It's like the result of Corvus's leaky pen.
Don't touch it again.
Get paper.
Or it could be, touch it, AC White Raven. You know you wanna.
You find a particularly clear fingerprint specimen, neatly tear it out and take it with you.
Okay, so you conveniently found a fingerprint on a piece of paper.
No, it's been added to your notebook.
So it wasn't going to be as tricky-dicky as
it's
waiting for the next day and going in his room when he's not there.
Yeah, it's a different set of
But how are you going to
challenges.
get Albert's fingerprints? If you had been able to get the fingerprint when it was on the case, that would have probably been a good time to have done it.
So yeah, this is...
Leave me alone, whatever it is, go F off. Okay, we're going to walk in and ask about brooch. I've never seen Mrs. Crab's jewelry box, and I don't know what she has or wears. It's none of my affair. Ask about steins. That's not my area of expertise. I am a mineralogist, not an antique dealer. Ask about minerals. I do not wish to discuss that with you. Diamonds carry a certain mystique. The aristocracy is mad for them.
Stop touching it.
Ask about garnets. I'm not here to instruct you. I don't even have is that a case over there? Examine picture. As clean as it could be. It doesn't look like Albert has used this at all. He really should drink more water.
Hear that, Winkers?
Drink more water. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. AC White Raven needs to too because he drinks Red Bull. He's like, Mel, you won't forget that, will you? Nope. What about the blue trunk? Does that have fingerprints on it?
Well, it's...
Albert got the key to the blue trunk, right?
Maybe. Dust lock. So it doesn't reveal any prints on the padlock. Okay.
Okay, so he was careful not to touch it too much.
Well, he used it, so let's see if he has anything. So, ask about trunk.
You are too curious. You are also curious about that too.
Wonder if that's a nod to, I think it was Malpedi Island or something like that. That I think the generic line was, you are too curious if there's not anything interesting to talk about.
Everybody is in here, by the way. Everyone is in the house. No
You
cats.
dust the Jordan elements for prints. You find your own fingerprints. Well, I'm not sure what I was expecting.
Yeah, I guess I have to have my own fingerprints checked. Maybe my ulterior ego or something
Yeah, you don't
stole
lift
the
your-
brooch.
You fell asleep and then you don't remember where you were.
You sleptwalked and you.
Somnolence.
What are things like? No, Mortville Manor. What?
Oh, it was a Moreville Manor or something. Yeah, it was like
What-
one of those. I think it
okay.
was. Yeah, it absolutely is. You're too curious.
Do you remember when he was drinking from a glass? And he was sitting there. Albert came back in from having the case stolen, and he was sitting there drinking from a glass.
Yeah, it's not there. I mean, there's a way to get it, and each of these, some of them are very simple to figure out how to do things. Others are pretty fun and clever.
Can you go into what's-his-face's office and study and see if the blotter or something is available for... Good evening, Jacques. Thanks for that tea. He's touching the table. It was lovely, so relaxing that I nodded off on the couch for a bit.
He's like, yes, I know.
Maybe it was planned for her to nod off and add a little bit more than chamomile.
That's right there, Miss Marple.
It was lovely and so relaxing that I nodded off the couch for a bit. What the heck's going on back there?
What?
The water or whatever it's back there on the... Is that a cooking...
Cookies are cooling.
Oh, cookie.
Glad you enjoyed it. Jack is spooning jam into raw cookies on a tray. There's
That's
another tray by
what
the
he's
window,
doing. That's a cookie sheet.
full of freshly baked cookies that are now cooling.
Cookies are cooling. He must have touched the cookies. You're gonna dirty them up with some powder and some soot. I don't think that's gonna work, to tell you the truth. Is he touching the jam jar?
That's about it for the jam.
I'm making up some thumbprint cookies. They're Margot's favorites. You know I make a thumbprint cookie, right? It's a sugar cookie and you put your thumb in it. It makes a slight depression, I'm guessing is the word.
Impression or depression.
And you would then take the jelly and fill it the hole. That's there are probably our Miss Marple references in here. It's like I said, it's my adventure detective game Spidey sense going overtime.
Yeah. And if there are more, I've read a couple of Agatha Christie books. So a mix of them, both Poirot and Miss Marple. But I can't necessarily say that I remember things or enough of like, oh yeah, it was this person or that one.
Can you do an alt tab for just a second? I want to try to turn on Miss Handy J. Because I'm pretty sure she works. She should have been working. I think it's the guru that's not working.
I'm gonna go get like a cookie or two.
Well, why don't we finish up the chocolate cookies? They're getting a little bit stale. That's why there's only a couple left.
Anybody? Oh yeah, I got a good raw there. Oh, good stuff.
I imagine you've had some really good food, but what's some of the Irish dishes that you've had there? Okay. So I don't know. There's the talking hand. Okay. I'm just trying to make sure that they didn't change the one of the things that I have always liked to travel, and what I regret is when I was in Europe and like when I was in the military area at the time, that I didn't get to do more of the okay, I don't want this to start echoing though. So let's give it a try. That I didn't do more traveling. And I didn't, because everything was a lot closer back then, and I should have done that. I know some people went to UK over the weekend and stuff like that, and they had lots of USO trips and stuff that you could go do. But we were a poor military family, so we couldn't go all the time. But there was the Austrian, trips to Austria for a day trip where you could go to a glass factory and stuff like that. And I really regret that I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I'm probably not typing this properly.
We've had Irish and continental breakfasts.
Sounds amazing.
There, she's fixed. There you go, AC White Raven. Now you can use her.
We've had, let me see.
Okay, also the Guinness and Smithwick's beer are significantly better.
Ah, interesting.
And it makes kind of sense. Guinness has this nice coffee flavor to it here.
Try to continental breakfasts, pub foods, a really good hummus and pita, surprisingly. Okay, and the Guinness and Smithwick's, I'm not familiar with that. Guinness,
so
of
I was
course.
going to look that up.
Guinness has a nice coffee flavor here. Okay, I wonder if that's made differently, or if it's even, those differences where somebody talks about, bagels or sourdoughs, and sometimes it's kind of like that environment or the water or something that makes things... Things that make things just something's a little different, something's special or unique about where something's made in a certain place.
Well, I know Stuttgarter Hofbrau, when you order it in Germany versus ordering
jars of raspberry jam though.
Ordered in Germany versus getting it in the United States imported, it definitely tastes different.
Mr. Rutshard loves these cookies too. He'll put a bunch of them in his pockets to snack on later. It makes doing his laundry a bit more challenging, but I guess I'd take it as a compliment.
So it's an Irish red ale beer. It was founded in Kilkenny in 1710 by John Smithwick and run by Smithwick family. We've all actually had the GI bug, so we've had a lot of crackers and juice. Yikes.
Yeah, that's the challenge sometimes of going...
Reminds me of...
traveling, and then you pick up foreign bugs and stuff like that.
Chad's father got COVID when they were in Italy, and that kind of ruined the rest of the vacation. But they didn't get to experience great Italian food. They literally had to stay in the hotel for a week, and so they didn't get to try all the different Italian cuisine. And they also didn't have his medicine and enough of it because the COVID came, and they were supposed to fly out a day later, and he couldn't go. So, they literally lived in the hotel, didn't have his medicine, didn't have any change of underpants. I mean, lots of things went wrong.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Learned something. So Kill is a place name prefix that means church.
Church.
Okay, because I've seen a lot of that, and the place we lived, there was lots of kind of Irish names. There's Killarney and things along those. There's probably Kilkenny or whatever, but I remember
Kilkenny.
So, I remember a Killarney street and stuff like that. So that makes sense. So okay, so perhaps it's Irish that means kill, which means church or something like that.
So are you all having any issues with trying to understand what they're saying? Yeah, we've all been variously barfing and shitting our beans out the last third. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, so are you suffering through and just trying to force? Did you drink water from there? No, I'm not kidding. Because I got Montezuma's revenge when we came back from Mexico, and
At least
I
we
didn't
got
think
that,
that was
but-
ever going to stop. And that was just like some of our pallets are just thankfully we had money. Good. Your wife packed good, right? They only packed enough underpants for the certain amount of days. One extra.
My poor parents, so they visited a couple weeks ago just for like the weekend. And then when they were supposed to fly back home, they checked in their luggage, and for whatever reason, their flight got canceled, and they could not reschedule for like 2 days or something like that. And so that was kind of a bummer. So they didn't even have their bag of spare clothes at that point.
And they didn't have his medicine once again. It's just not so much, although some people do speak Irish as their native language.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Which makes sense. You know, it's their country.
You can barely make out Jack's thumb.
But the brogue, right, is so thick that it's probably hard to understand. I don't speak this language, only English.
Yeah. And hopefully it's the type of thing that enough. I mean, of course, they speak English there.
Sure.
So I'm hoping, I find it interesting going to like Wales and finding how many places, and I think more in northern Wales, speaking Welsh is maybe a little more prominent.
Going to Wales or learning Wales?
If you went to Wales and how many people actually speak
there you go.
Welsh.
We've never been to Wales. I wish we had.
How many people speak Welsh? And my impression is northern Wales, it might be a little more prominent, but more of the population is more in the southern area. And if anything, hopefully, you know, if you do need to speak to somebody, they also speak English, or can find somebody who can translate if really need be. But
so I'm happy we all be better by the time we have to be on an 8-hour flight.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That would not be fun if you're having to
just
make
about the
mad
time you're
dashes
going
to
to get
the bathroom.
acclimated to it is the time you're going to get it leaving. But so are you guys suffering through it and just going and visiting stuff regardless, because you know that this is the vacation, and this is, you know, the only time you'll have. Yes, Jack's thumbprint is visible in the hollow of the raw cookie, but it's difficult to compare other fingerprints in this current state. You can't lift the fingerprints, so that's gonna. How do you lift fingerprints off a cookie? Wax paper.
It's an interesting idea.
Okay. Yeah, all the official government signs and literature list Irish script first, then English, so definitely some pride in it. That's neat. Yeah, well.
Yeah, that's neat. I've seen a couple of signs that I think were in Wales, and you could see kind of the two different languages on them, so that was kind of interesting.
If you put that over steam, it'll probably fall apart. Just like my cookie did when I dipped it in my tea.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. And when we visited Toronto, I think a fair number of the signs were both in English and French. I'd be curious if you went to Alberta, if it's like that as well, or if that's maybe more predominantly
our visit to Toronto wasn't as different. Like when I lived in Germany for 3 years, I felt different. I saw different sights. I experienced different. But we were in Niagara Falls, and it just felt like another, God forbid, don't hate me, Canadians. It felt like another American town. And with, obviously Canadian French is some of the language and stuff like that, but
it's has just those little differences that make it interesting. Like I remember just geeking out, you'd see the mustard, and it would say have both English and French on it, and so I thought that was kind of cool.
But it just didn't feel different.
Well,
I would think going to Ireland would feel different, would look different, it would feel different.
Stores. I think the thing that was interesting.
Go to a small town
About-
and feel like a small village.
Yeah, I think the thing that was interesting about Niagara Falls, the Canadian side, was the one with the casino, very commercialized. You go on the U.S. side, that's like a New York State park.
Yeah, that
And
was
if I
very stark and
Yeah, if I
brisk.
was to ask, like, which side do you think has commercialization, which part is the nature, I would have gotten the guesses wrong.
Totally, 100%. And I think we walked across.
Because when we came back across, I think they questioned you, but they let me through. And I was a long-haired hippie then too.
One of our one of our dreams has been to travel to Germany.
Yes.
But I would like to go even one step further. I would love to go to France and do the Chateau Le Rien,
Oh, that'd be cool.
and then like travel to
left side driving. Yeah, that would
to
be
Germany and the Munchen,
Munchen.
whatever I call it,
Munich.
still call it Munich, and travel around the Black Forest and do all that kind of stuff. But it's one of those things where we need a lot of time, we need a lot of money, and we need a family member to go somewhere else for a while. So it's not as like easy as just being gone for 2 weeks. I've seen people do it, but if you only have 3 weeks of vacation, and part of your vacation is your sick time, then you're not. Hi, Winkers.
Hi, Winkers.
You're not gonna get that, and you really do need 2 or 3 weeks to do what I was proposing. I mean, you could ride the train and stuff, but we'd want to travel around like the triangle of the Rene Le Chateau, and then go down to Munich. I would feel so much more comfortable with left side driving with a left side steering wheel. Yeah, and imagine that's another thing, if you really wanted to go.
Going well, Wink.
I was thinking by train, but yeah. I mean, I would love to show him Frankfurt. I would love to show him Berlin. And just so many places that, it's just like, if you only could take a month off, Why can't I take a month off? Because I won't go anywhere else that year, and it won't be sick.
Either that, or you wait until you're retired and hope you're in good enough, you have enough money and health to do so.
That's the truth.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of what the Colts are doing now, that they're finally, as they talked about, like when they were making games and stuff like that, it seemed like you either had too much time because you were not employed, so you didn't have the money, or you had the money because you're working, but you didn't have any time because you're just always working so damn hard.
So yeah, and Ireland, UK, all of those, Scotland. I mean, it would just be great to be able to go and spend at least 2 or 3 days in all the towns.
I mean, if I was like in Britain, I would like to visit Wales. I mean, that one I've learned a little bit of Welsh. And Scotland, talked about it earlier. That's one place where some of my relatives come from, so that might be interesting. And old college buddy of ours went by, and I think he said